Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is, wherever you're coming from. Cowboys Nation, you know the drill. Welcome to the Double XO Show.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the Double XO Show. I am your host, Zach White, and of course, you know why we're all here. It's Monday Night Football versus the Eagles. Huge game, always important against a division rival. We're going to do a full breakdown of the game and everything that's involved with that, and also do a little bit of a touch-up on last week's last-second victory by Greg the Leg himself against the Chargers. But before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. We have a lot of great Cowboys content coming out to you guys, and hit that notification button so you can keep it coming in. Also, check out www.starboysnetwork.com and make sure to swing by and read all of our articles from the Starboys Report and our very own podcast, Talking Boys with the Boys, and that is your host, Adam Y. and Mark D. Great podcast, so make sure to swing by and check out all of our great content, including this, the Double XO Show. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, and that is Starboy Network's very own JA Massey. And it is going to be a great episode as well. Make sure to tune into his podcast. That's 4D Podcast, and they have a lot of great content coming out there as well. But we started off with a bang. We kicked right into the matchup last week versus the Chargers and everything that went into that game. And what were the main takeaways from that game? Check it out.
There was some good, some bad. You know, it wasn't a perfect game by any means. We got the W, so that's really what matters. But one thing that I really, really liked was Kellen Moore. That was my main takeaway, is how much he has grown into his role. 2019, yes, we had the number one offense in the NFL according to yards. It was his first year playing calling plays. So he was still growing into it. And then last year, his second year, he only had Dak for five games, and he had basically a makeshift line the entire season. So it kind of like a mulligan season, but you can see how much he's growing into the role of being a play caller and how creative he's getting. And you're getting these people who could criticize him after week one. Oh, you need balance. You need balance. You need an identity. Well, this is our identity. You could see that we're attacking what the defense is giving us. Against Tampa Bay, they loaded the box. They said, Dak's going to have to beat us. Well, Dak threw a whole bunch, and he passed all over him. Unfortunately, special teams and defense didn't really help him out a ton, and we lost in the last seconds. This week, the Chargers played a deep two-shell defense. Basically said, you have to be patient and run the ball, or quick short passes and methodically go down the field. And they said, sure, we'll do that, and we'll run for 200 yards on you.
Have you met Tony Pollard? Have you?
Right? Right.
Yeah.
And he basically said after the game, look, we're going to attack what the defense gives us, and it's beautiful. That's how you call plays in the NFL.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I loved it. There was so many great things and great players and coaches and coaching in general involved with the game. It was really good to see. There's a lot of storylines there. But Cam, I'm going to go ahead and defer to you. What did you see? What is your main takeaway from the game?
Zach Martin is so important to be on that field, and we absolutely need him. Yes. And not to take anything away from Steele, but a huge portion, I think, of Steele's success was having Zach next to him. I don't ever want to not see him on the field during a game again. I mean, he's phenomenal. It was perfect. I mean, I can't even remember what his grade was, but it was like the highest grade of any player in the entire NFL last week.
95.
Yeah.
Was it 95?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you
I've
guys
seen
see
him
the
blocking
play?
like two people at the
that's
same
what I was gonna
time.
ask.
Yes.
This is the play where he had his arms like reached out, and he had one guy in one arm and another guy in the other arm, and he was blocking him. And I was like, dude, who are you? Samson, man.
It's insane. It really is. So, but with the Steele thing, do y'all think that was more scheme, or do you think it was more Terrence Steele? Because I feel like I saw a little bit of both, but there were some times where, Terrence Steele held his own as well.
I'd agree it was both. Definitely both. But he did. I mean, he had his moments, absolutely. And I apologized to him because I did doubt him. Right. And and a lot of people stood up and said that he had been, doing the work off season. But even through the media, we were hearing, he's not it. He's not it.
Right.
And clearly, plugging him in that situation, it was good.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely agree it was both. In pass setting, he wasn't as strong in pass setting as he was in run blocking. Pass setting, it was a lot of scheming where I did see them. There was a lot of short, quick throws by Dak. Obviously, that's design. That's that's going to happen. And then also they chipped, tight ends and running backs were chipping on both a few times in the pass sets. But in the run blocking, that dude was pancaking people. Like his run blocking has improved so much.
Definitely.
There was one time where he got a hold of Jerry Tillery and just basically ran him across the entire field. And it was like a La'el Collins. Remember La'el Collins when he played guard and he would do that?
Yeah.
It was one of those where he just grabbed that dude and that dude was backpedaling the whole time. So his run blocking was really impressive this week.
Growing right before our eyes, and I love it. And speaking of growth, another guy that really stood out to me, and there were so many, but Jaron Kearse too. He came in, and I was really impressed with his play throughout this game. He looked really good. I felt like he had it down, and he was quick. He was quick to the ball. It didn't matter where it was, if it was receiver, if it was a running back, he was quick to the ball, and I loved that. And the linebackers too, right? The linebackers definitely stepped up their play. Of course, you got Micah Parsons out there doing the defensive end thing too, and that was also beautiful. There's so many things. We could honestly talk about this all day, but I do want to dive into a little bit of a negative that I saw. Two things that did concern me, and it's going to continue to concern us going forward if we don't find a way to kind of make it work for us. But the kick at the end with the time left on the clock. Now, from diving into it, I heard there was Mike McCarthy said that there were some issues with the clock there at SoFi Stadium, and they weren't able to he didn't have visual on it, but it still just didn't feel like, I feel like in that moment, you got to know, like, that's a quick timeout. You're trying to get as much. Yeah. And luckily, we make the kick and we win the damn game. So it doesn't matter at the grand scheme, but it does too, because these are decisions that our head coach is going to be making. And what if this is the playoffs? What if he doesn't make that kick? Then we're all going crazy about this situation. So there's been some concern about Mike McCarthy and his, not necessarily his play calling, but a little bit of his time management skills. What do y'all think about Mike McCarthy as far as the head coach? What do you think? How do you feel about him at this moment? It's only week 2. There are mistakes to be made, but how do y'all feel about him overall?
I'm having some major concerns, and it's more so on his leadership and the control of everything. He's got a special teams coach that's out there doing whatever he wants, basically, is kind of what he's putting towards us. I really kind of took a lot into that comment where he made the comment that Kellen Moore could be a head coach next year. And, okay, first of all, let's not put that out there for the world because he's our. And secondly, are we doing that because we're feeling a little threatened that he could, that head coach Kellen Moore sounds pretty damn good to me. And let's keep in mind also, Kellen Moore is the one coach that was brought into Mike McCarthy's little, when he played house the year before and had all his coaches and came in, he got told it's going to be Kellen Moore. So Kellen Moore is tied to Jerry, not to Mike McCarthy. And so is that posturing by saying that Kellen's going to be a great head coach? Sure is for the Dallas Cowboys.
Damn, Cam, she came with the juice, man. I feel like Fucking Marvin Zindler Eyewitness News down here in Houston. Jesus Christ. That was good.
But she's spot on.
Food for thought. Yeah, food for thought.
She's spot on, honestly. Look at I don't have a problem with Mike McCarthy. You know, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. I know that was 2011. I get it. He in the back end of his career in Green Bay didn't go so well. You'll never convince me that Aaron Rodgers didn't sabotage his career there, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But like I said, Kellen Moore has impressed me more than Mike McCarthy. And
I agree.
I tweeted this out, and I'll say it again here. I am doing whatever it takes to keep Kellen Moore on this staff. Whatever it takes. And if that
sacrifice a
means
chicken.
if that means firing Mike McCarthy next year and promoting Kellen Moore to head coach, then if that means keeping him on as OC with the promise that he will be head coach and paying him more than Mike McCarthy, I'll do that. Like, I don't care. I'm doing whatever it takes not to let Kellen Moore walk out of the building for another team.
All in agreement.
And
Say
I overpay. And Jerry can get that checkbook out and overpay Dan Quinn to leave also and stay the head of our defense too.
Right.
It's gelling. That portion's
it's already looking good. It's. I mean, you know, it's week 2. I'm trying not to get over.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Dan Quinn's obviously rolling with the defense, right? Dan Quinn's doing a good job with the defense. He's calling plays on the defense, right? Kellen Moore is rolling with the offense. He's you know, rocking with the offense. Both of them look good. Both of them looked improved. You have questions on special teams that I know everybody has right now after the first 2 weeks and some of the questionable calls last year. And from what we heard, and from Mike McCarthy's own words, these are Fassel's calls, like Fassel calls. Like, obviously they gotta, like, he could put the stamp on it and be like, nah, I don't want that. You know, don't do that. But this is Fassel's calls.
Yeah.
So what is Mike McCarthy doing?
Jack in a bus.
It's, you know what? That's the thing too, because we all tie Mike to Bones because that's his guy, right? That's one of his boys that's still here. And again, you're overseeing this, right? So I'm sure you give your coaches some leeway, but you know, at some point in time, you got to say, I don't like that. We're not going to do that, or you know, develop a little bit more of a game plan surrounding your special teams unit. Yeah, I don't know, man. I tie them together. I put them they're a package to me.
So if he's not calling defensive plays, he's not calling offensive plays, he's not calling the special teams plays. What is he doing? One of the main things is like overseeing everything, you know, kind of putting your final stamp on it, right? But one of the biggest things that a coach his responsibility has to be in a game, since he's not doing all that, it's got to be management of the game, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't time management, clock management fall into that?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But when you have a huge gaff like that, and I will say, I was at the game, that video board that above the field was constantly changing, constantly going out. I've heard from Nick Eatman on the mothership. He said that he can verify that it did go out when Mike McCarthy, because he was looking at it too, and it did go out. So, okay, I get it. Still, you looking at it and the time goes, it's 25 seconds. Okay, blacks out. You still got to know, like, okay, it's 24 seconds. It's 23 seconds. You're like, hey, and also, where's your backup plan? Everybody knows that the clocks are in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there
you go.
And if there's if there's a history of that clock going out,
God.
you better make sure the spare tires.
And that was my only concern. Yeah, that was my concern.
You nailed that. Because that was my first initial thought. Like, if the clock is going out, there's other clocks, right? There's video boards on each end, and almost every stadium. You need to be prepared for this. That's your job, to be prepared for those situations.
And when you're not doing other things, that's especially your job. No, I get it. He said that there was some miscommunication. Tony Pollard came off the field when he wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to, so there was confusion. Obviously, nothing was relayed.
Yes.
Nothing was relayed to Dak, saying, because Dak thought, okay, we're comfortable where we are. We're just going to go. You know, we're going to be right here. You know, so it wasn't being relayed. I don't know. And he said that it got called down to him from the higher ups. Like, what took him so long from the higher ups to be like, hey, are you going to do something? Like, where was the communication delay with that? Like, the people in the box. I don't know what. I don't know where the delay was in that, but
This should have been
and
locked
he
and
and
loaded.
he yeah, and
I
he
mean,
should be
it's
overseeing
just-
that portion of it. And so if we look at it as a whole, so you've got McCarthy here, and Bones is his guy. We're seeing the weaknesses here. Kellen Moore was already here, and we're not quite sure how Dan Quinn came into the mix, and we're not sure it was Mike McCarthy, it was Jerry. So you
Yeah.
have these two solid pieces,
Yes.
the two pieces that we know Mike is in control of. Where are the issues?
Yes.
They're not here.
It's
So-
true. It's true, and it's definitely something to think about, and that's kind of leading me into this next ordeal. Is Bones right now he's, and I'm not trying to look too much into this tweet, but he's a little off the rails. He comes out and Todd Archer basically sends a tweet out and says John Fassel on the punt rush that led to a penalty said, "I think Cowboys fans aren't the play it safe type. So I was going to give them what they wanted. So after their ass, come after their ass on the punt rush. So I hope they're happy with it. We came after him." Man, is Bones becoming a problem? Or was that being sarcasm? Are we looking too much into this? I mean, it feels like there's a track record of over aggressiveness at this point in time, and one great watermelon kick, and that's about really what saved his job, I think, at this point in time. How do y'all feel about Bones? Is he a problem?
you want to take this one, Cam?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I've been on my soapbox enough, I think, right now. Go ahead. Good turn.
Look, I like Bones. I actually do. He has a proven track record of being one of the better special teams coaches. He really turned our special teams unit around last year to where in 2019 we were the worst special teams unit in the league. We were middle of the pack to last year. He really helped out a lot. But he's aggressive, and it's true to his nature. He's very aggressive. He's always been aggressive, and it worked out great in LA. So far, it hasn't worked out as great here in Dallas. But like a lot of his trick stuff, like was huge in LA when he was with the Rams. So like it hasn't been the best since he's came over here, but I don't mind his aggressiveness. You know, sometimes he's reckless, which I'm not with.
Right.
But I do like the aggressiveness still. And on that play, yes, it sucks. That play sucked. And I get the man, just we're getting the ball back, we have the lead, just let it kick it and we'll go down. You're not stopping our offense. Like I get that. But I also like the aggressiveness of it's a punt. Go after the punt. There's times when on a play like that, it's hard to put it on the coach and not the player.
Right.
Like you have to know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to get there.
What the situation is. Yes.
Let me. I don't want to hit this punter.
Right.
So hey, call that play. Be aggressive. I'm cool because if he blocks that punt, we're praising John Fassel.
100%.
We're praising him. So I think it's a little bit of John Fassel. Like, hey, don't be too reckless with it, but be aggressive. I don't mind that call. Kamara, I get it. Kamara was bear hugged and pulled into the punter,
Yes.
but that's going to get called. That's going to get called.
Right.
If you hit the punter, it's going to get called. Kamara is a young guy learning the game. He's got to realize, and it's a teaching moment for him. If you're not going to get there, man, pull up. Don't dive. Don't go into the
Yes.
punter because they're going to call that every time. They're going to overprotect the punter like they overprotect the quarterback. So it's a little bit on Fassel, but I think the more of the blame should be on Kamara for not recognizing the situation and knowing where he was on the field.
Touche.
Would you have caught Kamara in that situation, or would you have put a more seasoned veteran there to have done it?
That's a good point too. That's a good point too. So you just slapped me down. Thanks. I
No,
appreciate it.
no. I mean, I was just. It's
No,
just
that's a great
kind
point.
of my thought. Is,
Yeah.
I mean, he's in charge of putting the personnel in those spots.
Mhm.
You let this young guy do it, or you have someone more seasoned that wouldn't have gone into the kicker like that. So I don't know.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah,
a good point.
I mean, you're trying to find, and that is a great point. And you're trying to find roles for your players, and that someone like him. That's such a hard situation though too, because you do you want to put your best special teams guy out there, but you're limited to a certain amount of players that you can use in those positions. But that's like it's chicken or the egg, right? Like it's the player's fault, it's the coach's fault. He could have put his player in a better position, or put a guy out there. You're right. But
let me ask this question, all right? If you don't want to be aggressive and you just want to play vanilla special teams, you need to be like, hey, let them punt, just do that. Let our offense and our defense handle it, just play catch that ball, fair catch it, don't rush the punter. Then why are we wasting roster spots on special teams like aces? Why are we don't waste the roster spot on a guy like CJ Goodwin or people that you're like, oh, we need him for special teams.
Sure.
Then don't do it. If you're just going to play vanilla special teams, anybody can go out there and just do that.
right.
Just.
Sure.
But if you want to be aggressive and you want to go after and make those plays, then that's why we have these guys who are like, hey, CJ Goodwin, what position did he play? He plays special teams. We got him listed as a cornerback, but he plays special teams because that's what he does. He's a special teams ace. So. That's kind of my thought. If you want to play vanilla, we don't need those rosters. We can use those roster spots for other players. We could have kept Rondell Carter.
Right.
But it really was.
Special teams it's an important part of the game. It's a really important part of the game. I mean,
it is.
You can make or break. I mean, it changes momentum in certain situations. You block a punt. I mean, it can completely change a game. I mean, or a kick, a field goal, whatever. I mean, this all or get it down, pin them at the 1 yard line. These are all vastly they're very important, but it just feels like some of the things that we saw last year and then going into this year, it just feels like there's building a little bit of a track record to me.
He's been a little reckless at times.
There's been some reckless calls.
Last year, I think it was like 4th and 5 or 4th and 10, and he tried the fake punt, and you're just like, what are you doing, man?
Yes, yes. It's things like that. I mean, with Greg the Leg, and thank God for the redemption. But last week he was an issue. He was an issue for us, and then there was questions about, are we not evaluating him properly? Was he not ready? Why didn't we have
He wasn't.
Why didn't we have an actual kicker in the off season instead of a punter? To be prepared for this situation, knowing we're coming in and playing the Super Bowl champs the first game, like. I guess they invested a lot into him, feeling better or whatever. But that's a coaching thing to me. And again, you can put that on either Bones or you can put it on Mike McCarthy. But it feels like a coaching mistake to me.
And he is a bit reckless and a gambler, because my understanding is that Greg missed 2 50-plus yarders in warm-up. It's 2 of them. And they marched him out there to kick that 56 to win the game. So,
that's hard. I mean, but in that situation too, like, what else? What is your other option?
Right.
You know what I mean? You're gonna throw a Hail Mary. Like, I guess Greg the Leg has got the name for the reason. He proved it at one point in time, and I guess they were just hoping that he could get back there. But at the end of the day, yes,
right.
Great kick. Redemption. He got redemption, and it feels good. It feels good. We all needed that. We all needed to see him do that after the way he did us the week prior. So,
and I need to apologize, because I was pretty rough on him, and I do need to really apologize, because last year's birthday, kicked one with 1 second left on my birthday to win it, and then this year's birthday, he did it again. He's actually given me 2 wins on 2 birthdays in a row. So
see,
you gotta get a Zertline jersey now. That's where you're at.
Right on that.
Well,
right on it.
We'll see. Hopefully that trend starts climbing up with Bones, with everybody, because this week is a very important week. As you guys know, we got the Eagles, division rival. We hate them. I can't stand them. It's probably my most hated team in this division. I just can't stand them. It's Monday night. Huge
in the
huge
NFL.
Yes.
In the NFL.
Yes.
It's them. It's them and the football team for me. But yeah, they're right there.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not close for me. I can't. It's not.
No.
I mean,
No.
there has been some things with Washington football team. They don't even have a name. I don't.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I don't like him just
I
because
mean,
of that. But,
God, I kind of feel bad for him in a way.
it's year
Um,
two. It's year two. I understood it the first year.
It's
Yeah.
so
You
funny.
had
It's
a
so funny.
year.
People are like, "Oh, I'm starting to like it." I'm like, "No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No,
not.
you're
Don't
not."
pretend.
Come on,
It's just
stop.
stop it, sir.
Uh,
Stop it.
They're the baseball team. No, there's
Right?
not.
Yeah.
Pick a damn
Yeah.
name.
Yes, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But we have the Eagles coming up, right? So, and there's some big news and big things involved in that. We're going to talk all about this matchup and how to win this game. But some of the big takeaways right out the gate. I believe this came out Tuesday, and Brandon Graham and Brandon Brooks are out. They are out, and that is a big thing for us, especially with Brandon Graham. The guy, as we had previously discussed, Mass, I mean, this guy is, probably one of the best players on this defense, standing right along there with Fletcher Cox. You can make an argument for that. So him out and Brandon Brooks too, their guard. That's also a big thing for us, considering our health issues and everything that we have going on as well, because we have Armstrong out due to COVID, and I believe we have another person out. Who
Well, it
else
was
do we have?
Armstrong's out for ankle,
Oh, okay,
and
that's
then-
right.
and then
And
Watkins,
Watkins,
his knee, right?
his knee. Yeah, his knee. Yes.
Oh no. Okay, there it was. It's
And Neil is out.
Neil
for
Yes,
is
Neil.
the COVID thing. So we're gonna break all that down. That's a lot to dive into, and especially with Neil being out as well, and the potential effects that could have on us with also Armstrong being out. So we may see a little bit more of Micah Parsons at that defensive end position, and maybe, just maybe, a guy like Jabril Cox gets to see a little bit of playtime. Something I could potentially be interested in seeing.
Yeah.
But this is, let's go ahead and break it down defensively first. Their defense. What are some matchups that you guys like that we could take advantage of against this defense, and what are some matchups that you don't like? We'll start with you, Mass.
Yeah, so I don't think they're particularly strong. I know everybody talks about their defensive line. Their defensive line is solid. I don't think they're particularly strong at linebacker. So I am really interested in using Zeke and Pollard out of the backfield. Both of them can catch. Both of them can get yards after the catch. They've both done it. We saw Pollard destroy the Chargers last week, and I think the Chargers have a better linebacking core than the Eagles do. And so I think you get them away from that offensive line, let some screen passes. The 49ers tried to run a couple screen passes against them, and they set them up really nicely, but they just didn't complete the passes,
Yes.
So I think that's a weakness that we can exploit, especially with our backs, especially with guys like Pollard, who we see catches the ball out of the backfield and goes. And so I think that's probably a matchup that I'm really looking forward to, is our running backs against their linebackers.
Definitely. That is a
Right,
great
right.
matchup. What about you, Cam?
I feel like he stole my answer, but
Oh,
I'm going to
get the
go
homework.
to. I know. I'm going to go to Plan B, and I don't think their corners are going to be able to cover our wide receivers well. They may have Slay, but we got. We can keep listing them. They don't have that depth that they're going to be able to cover our wide receivers, and I think that's going to be huge for us.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Coop is healthy for this game. We know he's
Right.
had some issues with the ribs, right? In this game last week against the Chargers, but
It actually happened in Tampa originally. He landed on the ball is where the initial
is that
injury
where the
happened.
initial- okay.
Yeah, and then it aggravated again with the Chargers. So
This is an important game. We're gonna need
Yeah.
him, and because when you start thinking about, okay, you don't have Coop out there, you got CeeDee Lamb, and you got Wilson, and then who's gonna be your third receiver? I mean, that's kind of one of those questions. I mean, you can. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be. Would it be Fahoko maybe, or would
It'd be
it
Brown.
be Brown?
No, Brown.
Probably
Brown.
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 Probably
It'd be
Brown all
Brown.
the way, right? But that's still. I'm not overly concerned about their corners, so I still feel like it's a good matchup for us overall.
Yeah.
I do. I really do.
Just go away. Like, do what they did last year. Don't, go the opposite. Pick on the guy who's not Slay.
Right.
Slay doesn't necessarily shut down anybody. It's just that their other corners are not that great, so it's easy pickings.
Exactly.
So if Cooper plays, Slay's probably going to shadow Cooper, which I'm cool with because
That's
Cooper's
perfect.
kind of recovering. So if he shadows him, like, okay, fine. Let CeeDee Lamb feast like he did last week.
Exactly.
Let our tight ends feast because they're safe. Like I said, their linebackers and safety play ain't great. So with the running backs, let our tight ends feast. I just think other than their defensive line, they don't match up very well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, pick your poison. Pick your poison. Who do you want to cover? Because somebody's going to be open. And the way Wilson was playing last week too, just taking people's souls, just snatching their ankles. It was just insane. So I'm not really. I think we can do whatever the hell we want to against this defense, especially with Graham being out. My only concern is really Fletcher Cox. That's my big concern right now on that defense. And we have seen that they run a little bit of 4-3, a little bit of 3-4. I've seen a little bit of combos against the 49ers last week, but it looked like the 49ers center was free roaming for the most part. And they may scheme to attack Biotish because it's a weakness. Hopefully no Eagles people are watching this. That information, but I'm sure they already know clearly. But yeah, it's something that's a matchup that really concerns me, and I feel like this is going to be another one of those games. Zeke, you're going to have to do some dirty work. Tight ends are going to have to do some dirty work, and we didn't have a problem with it last week, so I think we're going to be doing the same thing this week. We're going to be seeing a little extra help.
And as Cam pointed out earlier, having Zach Martin back, huge. That's going to help. I do want to say Brandon Graham being out is huge, but the Eagles do have depth on that defensive line. They have Josh Sweat, who's a good pass rusher, and they also have Ryan Kerrigan, who's we all know Ryan Kerrigan from the Washington football team. He's given us fits throughout the years. He's not what he used to be, but he's still a solid pass rusher. So he's actually going to be the first guy up filling in for Graham. So it is a drop off. So while Graham being out is huge, I don't want to take away from because they still have quality depth on the defensive line.
They definitely do. They definitely do. That's their defensive line is stout. It's stout. So we'll find a way to beat them now. Whether it's run or pass, like you said earlier, Kellen Moore, he's ready for this. He's ready for this. If it's going to be the run or the pass, whatever you want, we'll do the other. So it doesn't matter to me. But another important aspect of this game is stopping Jalen Hurts. I haven't been overly impressed with him, but he's growing and he's getting better, and you can see it. And the main thing that concerns me about him is his mobility, right? He's a mobile quarterback, and they love to use the RPOs. It's an RPO league now for the most part, but they love doing it, and it just gives him time to freeze those linebackers. And one matchup that I could definitely see on the other side of the ball is hitting those RPOs, drawing those safeties up with the run, and then dumping it over the top to a guy like Rager with that quick speed on Anthony Brown. That is the concerning matchup for me, for sure. What about you guys? What is y'all's big concern when it comes to this offense?
Go ahead, Matt.
So I agree with you. It's really hurts. A little bit of Miles Sanders out of the backfield because he's a little bit like Eckler. We just got to be on it. Don't want him to be able to isolate Jalen Smith too much. That's a little bit of a concern. But I think you really hit the nail on the head, and it's Hurts' mobility. And none of their receivers are unbelievably great right now that you're going to be like, oh, it's going to be hard just matching up with him and taking him out one-on-one. Their best receiver is probably the rookie Devonta Smith. Diggs might shadow him, to be honest with you. He doesn't shadow 100%. He would, when they play man, he shadows, but they play a lot of zone as well. So when they're in man, Diggs does a lot of shadowing. So I could see Diggs kind of shadowing Smith. So that will be interesting. And but like you said, with Rager and their other receiver Quez Watkins, who's a deep threat as well.
You
had
just
that,
you
had that
nailed
91,
it.
had that
It literally
91
did
yard.
the video just happened as you were talking about it. You were spot on. Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go. So yeah, he had that 91-yard reception, and this is my concern with him: is the mobility. Is when we struggled against Herbert, when Herbert hit the big plays against us last week, it was when he was able to move, get out of the pocket, and have time. And that's what I'm worried about with this week with Jalen Hurts, is being able to move and have time and roll out and hit that long play, because we gave him 6 to 7 seconds because he was mobile enough to get away from our pass rush, and that's what I'm concerned about. Yeah,
Definitely, I agree. And another concern, you kind of just hit the nail on the head again with the name, Jalen Smith. We're going to see some more. I think we're going to see some more of him at linebacker. Again, he had a much improved game last week, but he's still a concern when it comes to defending the pass. So he's not quick enough, and you put a guy out there like Miles Sanders on him, it's gonna be a little tough on him. It's gonna be a little tough on him.
I think it's going to help with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kevin. Go.
I was just going to say, I think it is going to help that now that Ertz is on the COVID list, and who do they have? Dallas Goedert, and
Goedert. No.
Yeah, and I mean, so tight end is a very, I think, weak position for them, and I think that's something that they could focus on in that way.
It's not as strong as it was before with Ertz at his top. My thing was that I was going to ask you guys is, what do you think? This has been talked about. And obviously, we're all enamored by what Micah Parsons has been able to do in his first game. Didn't play football for a year, came out in his first 2 games, played linebacker as one of the best rated linebackers PFF-wise, and then came as a defensive end that he hasn't played since high school. And he was like the best rated defensive end in football with 8 pressures, which is insane. We were happy with Tank Lawrence's 5 pressures in week 1. He had 8 pressures in week two for Micah Parsons. So we're seeing this versatility. There's been the talk about a lot is that, what if Parsons goes back to linebacker this week and plays as a spy? He spies Jalen Hurts. So a new role for this guy, just showing off his versatility again. Just, hey, spy. If it's a run, they hand it off to him. Play the run. If it's a pass, you're watching Hurts. That's your responsibility. Is you have Hurts in case he takes off. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that?
I love him being our Swiss Army knife. I love it.
I agree.
Let him. He was he was talking that he wants to do punt returns too. It's like,
yes, he was.
Come on.
And he wants to kick field goals too.
Yes.
Oh my God! Let's not get too crazy. Jesus, Micah. I love that. I honestly do. I love his mentality. I love that so much. He wants to be on the field at all times. He wants to make plays. He is a playmaker, right? The playmaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's out there and he's doing things as a rookie, coming in and picking up that much information and being able to put that to use with just that little lack of knowledge overall that he's had. I mean, only playing, I guess, 2 years as a linebacker before being in the NFL. That's insane. It's insane, and it really just shows the amount of talent that this kid has. And I'm for it. I'm for it. He's a weapon. He's Weapon X. Put him wherever, and he's doing things. So I want to see that. I would like to see him. I would like to see him shadowing Jalen Hurts. He's got the speed to kind of keep up with him all throughout the field. I wouldn't mind seeing him as still a little bit of defensive end as well, just because he looks so good there. I mean, it's beautiful for this guy, man. The sky is the limit. I really think that we got lucky, and it was that thing that we all didn't know that we really needed. until it got here, and
Right.
that's really what sums it up for me for him. It is a beautiful thing.
If they redrafted, there's no way he falls to 12. If they were
Oh,
to do the draft again and people knew, there's
Yeah.
no way he would have gotten to us. He'd been
Yeah.
gone.
Jesus, we're 2 games in. We're 2 games into the season, and we're already talking about this guy potentially being our best defensive player. That's crazy. This guy is a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to just put his name on, the defensive rookie of the year, and if he continues, they can just put it on defensive player of the year too.
Yeah.
This rate,
He's showing up.
Yes.
Look at it. I said it before. I didn't want to draft him. I'll eat crow on that. I didn't want to draft him.
we did.
And
Yeah, we were the same team.
It was mostly because I'm not a huge off-ball linebacker fan. I don't think the position value is not great. But they're not using him as a strictly off-ball linebacker. They're
Right.
using him to the fact that he can do so much things. Like the fact if he would have came on as if you would have told me he was purely a defensive end, or they were going to use him in all these different roles, then yeah, I would have been like, okay, I'm okay with drafting him this high. But I wasn't okay with just taking an off-ball linebacker. And you know what? He's played amazing in his role and what they've asked him to do. And I'm all aboard. I've never been so happy to be wrong.
Right.
Same for me. This game in general is gonna be really big, and I think he's another one of those players that really kind of shows out again for us. How could he not? This one time, but this is a very winnable game. We need this game. I believe. Well, hopefully, if we win this game, we can take the division, right? We can already start talking about climbing and stacking wins, and the rest of the games from here on out until I guess our bye week aren't really that difficult. So if we get on a win streak, I mean, you still do have some teams in there, right? You still got some, the Panthers, with Sam Darnold, and there's some growth there, and they do look better. And then I believe the Broncos is kind of one of those games. We should have Lyle Collins back for that game. That's really important to me. But this game is huge. It's Monday night. The stars are out. I mean, this is one of those games. If it's not a just complete ass whooping on them, I'm gonna be disappointed. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be disappointed. I mean, it's the NFL, and any game is hard to win in general. But I expect to see just an ass whooping. I really do. From some of the things that I've watched of the Eagles, I'm just not overly impressed. And I just feel like there's so many things that we can take advantage of. And we'll see. We'll see what happens on Monday. Massey will be in the building, AT&T Stadium, representing. Do us a favor. Get the damn fans loud. Get them riled up.
I'll do my best, man. I'll do my best, yeah.
Is this your first game at AT&T, sir? Or you've been to AT&T?
No. I've been there before. before.
So you know the drill. Let's get crazy, man. It's gonna be awesome. I want to see your ass on TV. That's what I want to see.
I'll try.
But this is it for the show, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, catch up with us. Like, we're doing the Star Boys report. That's going to be a lot of Massey, and he's an amazing, talented writer. Knows his stuff.
Absolutely.
Again, make sure to follow him. And you're also on. You're writing for someone else too, as well, right?
Yeah, it's profootballmania.com.
Pro Football Mania. And go ahead and tell them where everybody can find you at on your Twitter handle.
Yeah. My Twitter is at the JA Massey. Massey's Massey, and then also you can find me with Dan Rupert on the 4D podcast. Yes, also a great podcast, and you can find him on StarBoysNetwork.com, and that feels always really, really cool to say. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a badass Monday night. I'm ready. We're all ready. Let's go. Absolutely.
Let's go.